This is the Infinity Summit Group. Truth, passion, success.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Infinity Summit Group podcast. Today is August 15th, 2022. We've got a special guest on here today, but first, let's go ahead and make introductions. I'm Noah.
Xavier.
Logan.
Jesse.
And then we got our special guest on here today, Peter.
Peter. Hi. Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. And now, Peter, we had you on because we are super curious about real estate. That's one of the things that we're working on doing and actively doing. So we're curious to know, first and foremost, what the heck got you into real estate? Family business?
Yeah, so to start, I mean, my dad got in, I think, right before the 08 crash.
Before?
Right before.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, the first couple years for him were probably, I just remember, the shift. I mean, we had to cut down our expenses. It all just began with my dad getting a new job. I mean, to me, I didn't understand what real estate was. And he committed to it. He told me the first 2 to 3 years he made zero income. And that's kind of what got me going was right after my second year of college. I just remember being lost. I didn't have a drive. I didn't have anything that I was interested in. And that summer, my dad just came up to me and he's like, hey, I see that you're struggling a little bit. Why don't you let me pay for your real estate school? And he paid for my real estate license, and that's kind of how I started.
Mm-hmm. For the listeners, how much is it to get a real estate license?
To be honest, actually, very easy to get into real estate. I think I just recently paid my board dues. They were probably like $1,200.
Is that a once-a-year fee or something?
That's a once-in-a-year fee. Yeah, you have to pay some dues to be a part of the board, and so you can kind of have access to the multiple listing service. So you can go online, check for houses. But I want to say I paid like $800 for my course, and I completed it in about 3 months.
That's not bad.
So, I mean, the barrier to entry is super low. Like, it's super easy. That's why everybody and their neighbor is a realtor. It's just how many can succeed and stay in the business. That's the tricky part.
Did you have a job while you were doing that? Was it just like you did school after you got off work? Or?
Yep, exactly. So I was working full time. I worked for a restaurant. I was there from 9 a.m. Till 7 p.m. But I would try to get off right after the dinner rush. And I'd go to class from like 6 to 9 p.m. every single day. And then any days that I couldn't attend, I would actually take the class online.
Okay.
Is it a pretty competitive little area right now?
Yeah, real estate right now is very competitive. There was the pre-COVID real estate, and then there's the post-real estate market after COVID. I would say the pandemic really pushed, asset prices to fly, and everyone has gotten since. But it's super competitive, which I love, because honestly, a slow market is not very fun to be in. I guess for everybody. I would say it's competitive, but as long as you can market yourself right and just stay consistent, it'll be okay.
It has very similar echoes to right before 08, where everyone and their dog is a real estate agent and a real estate investor,
Yeah.
Very interesting. So how do you, with the current market, how do you hedge yourself against ups and downs? Say mostly downs. Or do you?
Luckily, I got in, I'm coming up on my 5th year, and so things have been pretty okay for me. I haven't seen a downtrend before. Luckily, I've always hedged, I know it's probably not good, but I love passive income and different streams of income. And ever since I got into real estate, I was always trying to find a way of making passive income while I was sleeping. And so when I wasn't buying and selling real estate, I was helping some of my friends or family with property management. I'd help with some of the rental properties or just how to rent out, their neighbor's house even. So that's what kept me busy, was helping people rent out their houses or finding tenants or screening tenants. Another stream of income that I did was also, stocks or crypto. And so, fortunately, I haven't seen a downtrend, but that's just how I think that would keep me afloat, is just different streams of income.
Yeah.
Do you mainly do fix and flips or rentals?
Oh, thank you. I forgot. Fix and flips are also another stream of income for me. But no, my main source of income is actually being in the helping my clients, family members, anybody, friends, in their process of buying a home. So whether it's selling a house or buying a house, I'm a part of the whole transaction, and that's what gets me paid. And then my free time or my excess money, some people might to blow it on clothes or shoes or cars. I try to stay pretty frugal. And if I find a good deal, then I'll, hopefully get in, fix it up a little bit, and then flip it or keep it for rent. And then that's another source of income. And have, the renters pay, and then maybe make a little bit here and there for cash flow.
Is it pretty hard to get renters in right now?
No, it's so easy right now. There's a high demand for housing, and a lot of people are actually just moving, I guess. Right now, it's a weird time. People are leaving California, moving to Texas, or people are leaving Idaho or coming to Utah, or New York to Miami. And so right now, although rents are increasing, there's a really high demand for houses, so it's not hard to rent.
And it's a lot cheaper than Cali, even
and
still.
It's a lot cheaper than Cali.
Oh, boy.
Which is saying something, because it's expensive right now,
Yeah.
even here.
Yeah, it is. I'm curious. So when you're looking at these investment properties, you say you make most of your money off of being the real estate agent for someone. But when you're looking at these investment properties, do you look for something like from wholesalers? Do you look for something on the MLS where you identify it as a good deal, or how does your analysis process go?
So there's a misconception that you have to maybe find off-market deals or off-market deals just to find a good deal nowadays. But in reality, actually, a lot of the deals I found are on the MLS, on the internet. It's just being able to analyze the property itself, just seeing if it's really a cheap price, is it a good buy, and from there, you just buy the property. Obviously you have to run numbers. Numbers is everything. But to answer your question, I mean, properties are not difficult to find. It's just you have to have the right numbers. Can you repeat that question again? There was another. You were gonna say something.
Yeah, it was essentially saying, like, you're. Do you find most of your deals through wholesaling? Do you find them yourself? And then how does that analysis process go?
Okay.
So what do you actually look for in a property?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be a brief overview, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many different ways. I mean, everyone is a different type of investor. For me, when I look for a property, if I am going to flip it, I just need to make sure that I protect myself by being able to see if worst case scenario that I can't sell it or no one wants to buy it, can I rent it out? That's my main thing. And for me, I like to rent out properties that have, more than 4 to 5 bedrooms, and hopefully a mother-in-law, just in case, I need additional income. Having a mother-in-law meaning there's a kitchen in the basement or a walkout in the basement. So worst comes to worst, you can hopefully host to 2 different families. That's the main goal I look for. Second thing is that whenever I look for a property, as long as I know the area is a good location, I try not to buy any properties within 30 minutes away from me. Because once you look at properties 45 to an hour away, just the time it takes to travel distance-wise to check up on the property, finding different tenants. Anytime you flip a property, you're always having to go back and forth, and it's just time. And, time is really important. So as long as I can get one flip done, then I can move over to the next.
And do you do the work on these flips yourself, or do you have a contracting team?
Yes, I do have a contracting team. Over time, you kind of build that reputation with contractors. Just because for me, like I said, my primary source of income is buying and selling real estate for my clients. And so I can't physically be at these properties all the time. So the best way for me to continue funding these projects is to keep working and let them do their job. And then at the end of the day, once we can sell it or finalize the deal, then we all get paid.
What is the actual process of buying the house? Like, do you cash it out? Do you finance it?
Yeah.
What's that going to look like?
All my deals that I've done so far have been paid cash. Not my money. I've actually gone through someone that's called a hard money lender, and they are an investor as well. So for exactly what I was trying to say, everyone invests into something to make their money grow. I invest into real estate. These hard money lenders lend out their money, and I pay them back with, their
Fairly high interest, right?
They're high interest. Yes, exactly. But it gets the deal done. So for me, sure, there's a price I have to pay to use their money, but I do use these other people's money. And if I do keep it, if I end up not flipping and I do keep it myself, then I go ahead and refinance. I can get a loan so that I purchase the property under my name. So then I can cash out them and pay off the property. But then now I owe, X amount to the bank. Right. A second thing is, you can do a HELOC, you can do a finance. But every deal that I've done so far has just been borrowing somebody else's money and then refinancing it to pay them off.
Do you use the same hard money lender or different ones?
I do. I use the same hard money lender because over time you build a reputation with them, you build a relationship with them, and they're willing, because when I first started, they didn't know who I was. These hard money lenders, they don't need to. Of course, everyone has to vet you. No one wants to just throw out $400,000 to some stranger. But over time, you build a reputation with these guys. They see how you perform. They see if you can execute on these houses, on these flips, on these renovations. But over time, the fees get cheaper and cheaper because you're less risk to them, and they know that you'll pay them back.
How do you go about finding these hard money?
It's actually really easy. They market themselves everywhere just because that's their source of income. If you just type in hard money lender in your nearest city, you'll be able to find any lender that can do it. And of course, it's just like buying anything. You should do your due diligence, check out who they are, their reviews, and just you can even just call them and, ask them a few questions. Hey, what are your fees? And just ask around, and the one that fits you guys and who's willing to help you guys out, then that's who you should go with.
All right, we've got another question. What was your first property you did? What was your first deal?
How did it go?
Yeah, was it longer? Did it take you a while to kind of get used to the process of doing it?
The first one that I did took me 8 months, which is not fun. You should never take that long for anything.
You're probably doing a lot of it yourself too, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Like I said, there was no experience. There was no contractors. I would YouTube everything, and maybe go to Home Depot and whoever's asking for work, pick them up every morning and drop them off. And it wasn't the best use of my time. And so, without the right experience, mentors, I spent 8 months, and fortunately, it did go well. I bought it at a really, really low price. Number one was also my fault. Without the experience that I needed, I try to remodel everything. And whenever you buy a rental property or a flip, your goal is not to tear down everything. Unless it's a necessity. If there's some things you can save, it'll save you time and cost, and that's what you should do. And for me, it's this is going to be my first one. I want it done right. And in the end, I did overspend, and it took way too long, but it did still pay off.
Good. Was it worth learning how to do everything? Or
Yeah, that experience you can't pay for. Just like in life, you need trials and errors. And if you don't fail, then I don't think you'll learn anything. But for me, it's I did pay it at a cost, but it's definitely, I mean, I've made it back, so it's okay.
Okay.
So I know you mentioned you don't buy houses like outside of a 30-minute radius. I'm assuming that includes out of state.
Yes.
So is there a possibility that you're going to expand out of state, or do you want to mainly just stay in Utah in your little zone?
At the moment, since, I mean, there's still so much to learn and so much to do here in Salt Lake. I mean, I would say, I mean, we're one of the fastest growing cities right now. I believe number one, just a few months ago, from what I remember, Idaho was number one and Utah was number two. On stability as well, Utah is one of the top states for stability. And so at the moment, I mean, this is my home grounds. I was born and raised here, and I'm comfortable with the market. I know how it is. I know the cities. I know the right contractors. Once you step out of state, I mean, you have to start all over again. You have to reconnect with different contractors. You don't know who's good. You don't know who's bad. You don't know who's going to take advantage of you. And so at the moment, it is just Utah, but I'm not opposed to trying another state.
So here at the Infinity Summit Group, we always teach our people, you want to budget and you want reserves. Those are like the two basic items. How do you do in those departments, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, reserves are very important, and budgeting is huge. I mean, I think I just came across a listing today. They gutted the whole house, and the city came by, and I think that they didn't have permits, and they didn't plan. I think planning, you should probably add that too. Planning is huge, especially in real estate or flipping. And they didn't have a plan. I think that they tried to do work without getting permits, and they ended up getting caught. And the city came by and they posted a note on the door. Usually it's a stop work order, meaning that like, hey, you guys didn't do this properly. You didn't inform us, and so we're gonna get our cut. And so usually when that goes down, I mean, you have to get permits. It does take time to submit this paperwork, get it approved, doing the right inspections. And if you don't budget right, I mean, you're going to lose a lot of money. And what happened with the listing that I saw today was it's just, they tore it down to the studs. So there's no flooring, no sink, no walls, no lighting. It's just 2x4s. And there was a sign posted on the photo, and it said cash only. And I think they didn't budget or plan right. And I mean, for them now, by getting that stop work order, they need to get proper paperwork, proper contractors. And when you get the proper contractors, they're going to be very expensive. And I think they didn't have the budget for that, and they just have to sell it at a loss.
That's a bummer.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, I mean, I might actually come in there and maybe lowball them and maybe make something happen. And then maybe, one man's
trash, another man's treasure.
Exactly. That's how I like to look at it.
So how do you go about budgeting in your daily life, not just like for real estate, but like just everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to your roots. Growing up, my parents, are immigrants, and they came from a different country. For me, it was that frugal lifestyle that I had, and so growing up, I mean, I kept the same traditions, and I try not to spend more than, I don't know, 30% of my income. The rest is either reinvested or kept in the bank, and I keep my expenses low. So that's just kind of how I budget. And so anytime I do a flip, it's always the same. By having a large reserves, if I do go over budget, it's not good, but I'm not I don't know,
Not hurting.
I'm not hurting. Exactly. And obviously, you have to run, like I said, numbers is so important. I mean, people think that, in real estate, I mean, people just make a ton of money, which is true, but people also lose a lot of money. People forget about that. And so as long as you surround yourself with the right people, I think you should be okay.
Okay.
We're probably going to have to talk about it another time on how you actually run your numbers and like the details of it.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a bunch of different ways to do it. The way I've done it is have at least a 1% gross rent multiplier. That's what it's called. Basically, if you've probably heard of it, but if the total cost of your house is $100,000, you want to be collecting at least $1,000 in rent, right? And that's been a really good rule of thumb for me thus far. But
Yeah, I forgot to ask you, how is that going right now? I heard you were telling me about your rental property.
Yeah, threw some money in a house in Ohio that's being renovated currently. So
Very cool.
Yes.
When's the time, like ETA for that?
cash flow they said was either going to start in July or very very soon after. And so
Wow.
they should be starting soon.
Congrats.
The dude's wife just got diagnosed with cancer, so there might be a little damper in that, but stuff happens.
Yep, just keep moving.
Yeah, exactly. These guys have been pretty cool thus far.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and then their last project also ran a little behind. So I wouldn't be surprised if I was like 2 months behind. but-
And honestly, like I said, it
not a
comes
big
out of
deal.
budgeting, but also construction. With my experience, you're never on time.
No.
Never.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I know how projects go. Like, yeah, it's only going to be 10 minutes. 2
Yeah.
hours later.
Yep. You're still there. Yeah.
Are you financially free then with your passive income?
Fortunately, so actually, when it comes to passive income, no. But I feel like after these last couple of years, I mean, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that have been given to me. I'm in a pretty comfortable spot right now, where I mean, I maybe could take some time off, but just once you've been in this and you gain or you're in a specific level,
Mhm.
I think. I don't know. I think I'm a workaholic. Maybe that's just the word. I'm a workaholic. I mean, I can take a break for sure for a while, but I mean, I wouldn't want to. And I guess the next thing is just to get the next goal. So, but passive income, I mean, I think, like I said, everyone has a different number, whether your lifestyle is a little different. But financially free, I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, financial freedom, it's just where your passive income meets or exceeds your expenses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Not quite.
No, not quite.
That's okay.
I mean, I got a long way to go. So, I mean, it's enough for me. Like, the passive income is enough for me to, like, for sure take care of my expenses.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, we all, I think, I got some time. I need to put a lot more work into it. So,
Of course.
So you mentioned a goal. What is your next goal?
the next goal would probably be to pay off my parents' house. I think that's my main goal.
Okay.
Once I
Nice.
can get enough, income to take care of myself, the next thing is just pay off the house and let them kind of enjoy, their life and let them travel and let them do the things they got to do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's good, son.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow.
I mean, I mean, like I said, without them, I don't think I'd be here today. I mean,
Mhm.
they've really shaped me to become who I am. And, I mean, you always got to pay back the dues and, take care of your family.
So, going back to like the Valley, Salt Lake right now, do you think you still think there's opportunities out there to make money right now?
100%. I think, honestly, even in a down market, I mean, there's for sure, I mean, opportunities. I mean, sure, I mean, might not be 100,000, just you're going to make 100,000 off of the price that you bought for. But I mean, there's a lot of wins. I mean, you can win through passive income or cash flowing each property. But yeah, there's always good deals around.
Oh yeah.
Difference between investment and gambling is knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I mean, to simplify everything, it's just knowledge, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you're right.
Especially knowledge gained from experience.
Yeah, that's something you can't buy.
No.
You have to go through it in order to experience it to really gain that knowledge.
Yeah, you can have a ton of book knowledge, and they call it, what is it, analysis paralysis.
There you go.
People just like analyze all the time, but they won't jump into their first property.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I would recommend you to start is just like for your first house. I wouldn't recommend you buying the nicest, cleanest house on the market. The best way to start is to buy the dinkiest house, or not even the dinkiest house, just something that needs a little work.
Mhm.
When you can kind of transform that, you can easily add value just by a new paint job, a new carpet job. You don't have to go through a full renovation and gut everything and restart all over again. But yeah, just a simple project. Start with your own house, and eventually, I mean, if you like it, perfect. I think you're the perfect investor. But there are some people that maybe might hate it. Some
Mhm.
people are only stock. Some people are only crypto. Some people are only real estate. So start with one at a time.
It is amazing how much value new flooring, paint, and appliances will add to a home.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got a lot of value there.
Well, I mean, honestly, I mean, plus, I mean, if you can start with your own house, you'll be the one that gets to, you know, see it happen, but also get to experience like or benefit, I guess, from the renovations. And so when you get that first feeling, that's gonna drive you to kind of remodel other projects and let the buyers get the same feeling. And when that happens, I think that's the best feeling. Everybody wins. The buyer wins. You guys win. You get to see it transform. It's a win-win.
So when you buy a property, what are you looking for to decide if it's a fix and flip or an actual rental?
That's perfect. And that comes down to numbers too. The only one that I would keep, so anytime I differentiate the difference, to start off, anything that I don't cash flow, I'd for sure flip. So meaning, let's say, and it doesn't, I mean, the 1% rule that you have is fantastic. I don't necessarily like have a specific rule, you know, I mean, as long as I cash flow enough, and I don't mean by like cash flowing $100, you know, my minimum is, cash flowing, you know, hopefully $800 to $1,000 per property. Those kinds of properties I would definitely, keep as a rental, but those that just doesn't make sense financially to keep, meaning like, let's just say the mortgage is $3,000 for the property and I can only rent it for $2,800 or $3,000. I'm either at a loss or I break even. Just to simplify it, that is a property that I would flip.
All right.
Okay.
If you're not cash flowing a positive 800 to 1,000 after expenses.
Yes, after expenses.
Okay. Well, you work in a little bit bigger properties too, like you're saying, 5-bed, and what was it, 3 bath, 2 bath?
A minimum is probably 3. But yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, for me, just if without running the numbers, if it doesn't make sense month as a cash flow, as a cash cow, then I'm not gonna keep it. You know, I'd rather just flip it, take that money, and reinvest in something else.
And then
Hell yeah.
when you actually buy a property and it gets to be fixed and renovated, are you using the money from the hard money lenders or are you using it out of your bank account to renovate? And the hard money lenders is just to actually purchase the house.
That's a great question. There's different loans. Personally, for me, the ones that I use is they take care of the house. You know, I pay for the renovations myself. I take care of those, just because I incur less fees and less expenses through them. So I do that. But the goal would be, you know, to get to a point where like I don't need to be funding these projects, so I don't take any risk myself. You know, it's all risking other people's money, rather than a portion is, you know, risked from my own pockets. So that is the goal.
And then out of your own pockets, how much money would you recommend just the average Joe to walk into the house with for renovations?
I mean, I
Depends
guess
on the
it
house,
depends on the
huh?
house, right? Yeah. You know, if it's just a light paint and carpet, I mean, you don't really need a large budget for that. But for me, like it all, like I said, it comes down to numbers. Unfortunately, you know, as I wish I could give you a better number. Like, for example, if I was walking to a $500,000 house that I know could be worth $1 million, I mean, I wouldn't mind putting in $200,000 in renovations to gain $300,000, just because all of that equity is just sitting in there. But at the same time, I mean, like you don't want to put in X amount and only make back, you know. But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, if you can, essentially the goal is, let's just say all in, even if I put in like $100,000 for a house, but it covers, you know, by the time the equity that I've made covers my down payment and I'm all in it and I get back the same amount that I put in, it's essentially a free house. So I'm not in anything. So like I said, unfortunately, it comes down to the house.
Yeah.
It all comes down to numbers.
Very
I've got a question. So, if you're on the MLS, right, after you take your courses, could you like buy that house for yourself to live in?
If I buy it From the MLS.
Essentially, be your own real estate agent.
Yeah.
I think is what he's asking.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, like,
I can be
I
my
can
own
move
real
into
estate
it.
agent. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the really cool thing about my license, I'm not. I mean, I can buy for anybody. I can buy for my parents, myself, you guys, my family, my friends. I mean, yeah. I hope that answers your question.
It did, yeah.
So when the
Okay.
time comes, if we were to tell you what we were looking for in a house,
Yep.
as far as an investment property, you'd be down to find it.
Oh, you can even just shoot me a text. Like, hey, is this a good property? Is this a good deal? I mean, I can just give you a yes or no just off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously everyone has different rules, guidelines. But yeah, I mean, it's just simple. I mean, I'm experienced now that like it doesn't take me long to analyze a property,
Mm-hmm.
and I can just give you guys a yes or no. That
Yeah.
simple.
Oh, yeah.
And the analysis changes as prices of wood change and all the
Yeah.
construction and all this jazz.
Exactly. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, do you guys have any updates on that? Like, what's going on? I mean,
With the wood?
It's
Yeah.
all high priced.
Yeah,
I mean-
everything's expensive.
Yeah.
lumber's definitely gone down from what has
From
gone
the-
down
from the peak.
from the peak
Okay,
for
good.
sure. But yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the economy too, right? I mean, if the market's gonna be slowing down a little bit, you got to be hedging against your risk. You don't.
reserves.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great quote you guys have.
Do you keep any precious metals as part of your reserves? You don't have to answer the question.
Sure.
But we do go.
Yeah.
We'll go as personal as you wish.
Oh yeah.
Because
I mean,
we definitely recommend at least a small portion of the portfolio
Yeah.
in precious metals.
that's something that I need to ask you guys because I don't. I don't
Okay.
carry any metals as part of my assets or my portfolio. Mainly just stocks and real estate.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about
So
metals.
they tend to be a good inflation hedge.
Okay.
The price will grow with inflation generally, and then a lot of times when the markets crash, people go back to the most stable of assets. They go back and buy their gold, or they'll buy up a bunch of real estate or whatever. Real estate's really good and solid. But when you had that correction in '08,
Mhm.
gold and silver actually shot way up, and they peaked in 2011, 2012.
Nice.
So it's a good hedge against that. You just have we'll say your fingers in all the pies. I only want my portfolio for precious metals to be 5-10% of my total. Because they are stagnant, right?
Mhm.
It's not an investment; it's a hedge.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then I would definitely we always recommend for anyone to get life insurance because you are the most precious asset in your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, that's something I need to look into as well.
And I'll have to talk to you more about that someday. But you could use that for your real estate stuff. That's what I did.
Awesome. Another thing that I want to bring up is, something that you guys should take a look into when you're investing in real estate is master plan communities. And a lot of times you'll see just areas, states, cities that aren't planned really well.
Mhm.
For example, you might be next to a major city with like all of a sudden just a farm, or all of a sudden just an airplane, just because it was not an airplane, an airport, or just something that just
Harriman.
yeah, sure. It wasn't planned very well. I mean, they are building very fast here in Harriman too. But anytime you're investing, whether it's just for a primary home, look into planned communities, just because they have a master plan. I mean, they've thought of a plan for the next 30 years, 50 years. We'll just start simple, just the next 10 years. So you're never worried about investing into something and not knowing how the future is going to be. They'll have a plan saying like, oh, there's going to be a Costco here in the next 5 years, or a movie theater coming in the next 3 years, maybe a college, something that brings a lot of value to everybody, but adds value to the asset itself.
Yeah.
Is master plan communities.
Is that like a
Yeah.
website you could go to or
Oh
something?
yeah,
for
you
that?
can even just type in any state, master plan community, Salt Lake City, master plan community in Texas. Because that, having a plan, like I said, is everything, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even if you just don't want to talk about like what is good for a house, the community itself is very, very important. I mean, anywhere you go, I mean, that's why LA or New York or any of these cities, just because they're planned so well and they have, the right systems in place to just to make it a great living environment. So check that out.
Okay.
Definitely have
Thank
to.
you.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll check that out for sure. Master plan communities.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, Harriman's growing really fast. I don't know if you guys seen just right up the street here.
We live there.
Yeah.
I live there.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do?
Mhm.
Wow.
Growing way fast. Yeah.
I mean, the Costco that just arrived, what is it, Cinemark?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
That whole
Mountain View Village.
Mountain Village
yeah,
complex, yeah.
Uh-huh. And then they have the Salt Lake Community campus right up the street. I don't know if you guys seen that. It's a
No, I've
little
seen that.
far south.
I'm surprised. I've lived there for 10 years.
Oh, by the Salil apartments, they have the the Real Salt Lake School. They have.
Oh, yeah.
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 There's a Salt Lake campus coming. There's a U of U campus, mini
really?
campus coming. So a
Wow.
lot of development going on.
Yeah, we live like right on the edge where all the big, giant pieces of land are.
Oh, you're in the right spot then.
Yeah, it's expensive as shit. Houses on my road are going for $1 million plus.
Wow, that's insane. See,
But
there
you
you
guys
go.
bought it for.
300?
Yeah.
Are you serious? The same house that's going for $1 million you bought for $3 million?
No, not my house specifically, but
Okay.
the houses in our neighborhood go for that, yeah.
And I mean, property values. I mean, when you're close to something like that, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
inevitable. So.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Any
We've
other
been-
questions of investments? I mean,
Well, I'm just thinking about all that stuff. Harriman's gonna be a college town.
yeah, it's gonna.
Oh, boy.
Well, they're
but-
going to build that city right out there, too. That's
Mhm.
just on Bacchus back there. That's like 40,000 people they're planning.
Yeah.
It's huge.
What's the city gonna be called?
I don't know.
New city.
There's a new city. I mean, not only that, Bluffdale. I mean,
Yeah,
you guys
Bluffdale's
are in the
growing.
heart right now. I mean, Riverton.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to be in the mix, which is actually, I think, better. I mean,
Oh,
you
it's
don't
so
want to be in a
nice.
congested.
Hell no.
But I mean, you're right next to all the fun. You have
Mhm.
Harriman that's growing, Bluffdale, the prison. They're moving that prison,
I heard.
and
Yeah.
they're building a super real. I think what was it called? Super. I forgot what it's called, but they're building shopping, housing, apartments. Everything you want in a 15-minute walk, I think, was what they're saying. Like a city with
So like another daybreak.
another daybreak, exactly. And
Where
then,
the
I mean,
prison is?
The prison, just right up the.
No, like they're building all that where the prison is?
they're getting rid of the prison.
Where are they moving it?
I think somewhere in like northern Salt Lake. I think
That's
is where
pretty
they're
far
moving.
away.
Yeah.
What the?
That's wild. I didn't know that.
So they're getting rid of the prison, and you got Silicon Slopes, Lehigh.
Mhm.
You got. I mean, we're right next to Bangerter Highway, I-15. I mean, I think Riverton's the best place to be, to be honest. You don't have to be in that mix, but you're super close to the mix.
Yeah, we are.
That's funny. I actually just live really close to you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right over there. I
Damn.
mean, you could probably drive 3 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're like neighbors.
That's convenient.
I think if I had to
Have
pick a
some coffee
place
sometime.
to live, would be like Draper. Draper's way nice.
Draper's really
I love the
nice.
views from Draper.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially up on the hill up there where they do the paragliding.
Mhm.
Ooh, gorgeous.
How often they do that? I see that, and I think it's so unique. I think it's so cool.
It's fun to do. I went one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Me and this guy.
Nice.
Fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, what do
Yeah.
you do in your free time?
That's
Besides
a
of
great
work?
question. I think, and as cliche as it sounds, when you love something, you don't mind doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like I said, I mean, I know you can either take it the wrong way or take it the right way, but I think I like being a workaholic. I love what I do and I love helping people. I'm going to bed thinking about what I have to do the next day. I mean, I'm always just thinking about like what I do next. It's always just about the grind, and luckily I love what I do, so I don't ever think about it like a job.
Yeah.
So no girlfriends then. No, I'm just kidding.
No, not yet.
That's okay. What kind of books would you recommend to the listeners?
Ooh, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think that
Okay.
that was a really important book. There's also what am I trying to think of? I'll have to think about it and I'll get back to you
Yeah,
guys.
you're good. Yeah, you're good to go. So you invest in real estate, and you do the real estate agent gig and all that jazz. And you mentioned stocks and cryptos. Do you have any other investments that you play with? Anything that you're looking into? Are you thinking about getting into like mobile homes or apartments, or you just do single family?
So
It's a long question.
The next thing is multifamily. I think that would be awesome. You know, I
Okay.
mean, you get to a point where cash flow is one thing, but just being able to own so many doors would be really cool.
In a small space.
In a small
Make
space.
one trip.
Just make one trip and just collect all rents. I think that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But no, at the moment, a lot of my investments are just real estate and stocks, and I do want to get more into crypto. I do think there is a bright future ahead.
Yeah.
Just convenience wise, most of it's just convenience. I mean, we started with trading goods, foods, to having small currencies, gold, silver. Now we have cash, and then we move from cash to credit cards. We have Apple Pay. So I feel like historically, I mean, we just have to continue evolving. And I think that's a huge part of our lives. It's just to adapt and grow. So another question you did have was I think apartments or something. What were we talking about?
You were talking about you mentioned multifamily.
I think mobile home parks is a really great idea. I know they're kind of not seen as great investments, but for me, it's like it's kind of cool that it's the same idea. I mean, you own the land, and the people who own their mobile homes just rent the land from you, and so it's just another form of real estate. Back to your last question. I remember the book now. It's called the Cash Flow Quadrant
I like that one.
by Robert Kiyosaki. I think that's what really got me into passive income and being on the other side. Check that out. I would check that out. I think Robert Kiyosaki has been a really big inspiration for me.
Yeah. Have you read his book Fake yet?
I haven't.
Love that.
Share about that, please.
Yeah, that'll get you onto silver and gold a little more.
Okay.
For sure.
Fake.
Yeah, it's called Fake.
Perfect.
Robert Kiyosaki. And then have you read any of his wealth advisors books?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I was going to say, read the tax-free wealth one.
Yeah,
That one's
yeah.
damn good.
That was really. I mean, that's another thing that I've really liked recently. It's just getting us taxes. All the tax benefits, because a lot of people think taxes is a burden, but in reality, I mean, taxes have a lot of benefits to everybody. The government incentivizes us to do, a few things, and by doing them, it's a win-win for the government and also for us. But at the second time, taxes are just it's just perspective. I look at it as we all have to pay our own taxes, but there's a lot of benefits to it. So.
Yeah.
Another case where it's all about what you know.
Yes.
And who
Bingo.
you know.
Knowledge. It's all about knowledge.
Get a good CPA. Heck yeah. Well, we can wrap it up now for you. You're about needing to head out anyway.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
and then next time we'll have you on. We'll
Yeah.
talk about numbers and stuff.
Talk about
get in
numbers. I
depth,
love numbers.
all that jazz.
Thanks
'cause
again for having me
I
on,
want to
guys.
know.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Any
Yeah.
parting advice for the listeners?
Yeah.
Parting advice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that in high school, and I think I don't know. I guess I got sick of it over time, and I've luckily found it. I mean, sorry, just to clarify. You're saying partying?
Oh no, not partying. Sorry, parting advice. Just like anything.
Oh,
Advice for the listeners.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not party.
I
I'll
was
take
like,
some
that's so
partying
funny.
advice.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. No, I think invest into yourself, right? We had talked about insurance, or you guys talk about insurance, but for me, that for the beginners, with just a few $100s, a few $1,000s, don't worry about buying a house. Don't worry about buying the next precious metal. Just worry about investing to yourself. Read books. Even start with movies if you're not a reader. YouTube. I find a lot of my information. I don't watch TV anymore. Everything I do is just research. And eventually, that is way. Without yourself, you wouldn't get anywhere. So, just take the time, invest into yourself, and when you're ready, make that move, invest. And I think that's where you should go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
And thanks again, guys, for joining us. See you next week.
Yeah.